Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. My name is Stephen Hackbarth. Today I'm joined with Isabella Stevens. And today we have a very special panel because we are talking about 20% of a billion-dollar industry. We are talking about aftermarket. And we have a great selection of panelists here today. So if you want to just go down the line and introduce yourselves, that'd be great.
Sure. Matt Carpenter, President and CEO of Dealerware.
Steve Greenfield from Automotive Ventures.
Anthony Giagnacovo from Nation State Drivers.
Murat Deljanin from Paragon Honda and Paragon Acura.
Yeah, and dealerships only capture a fraction of the total aftermarket service business today. Why have so many independent shops been able to win so much of the market share?
Let's start with you, Steve. Yeah.
I can have those.
Yeah.
All right. I think part of it's convenience and part of it's cost, whether it's perceived cost or real cost. I mean, we've got a lot of these independent repair shops now that are private equity owned, right? Smart Capital owns them, have been very focused on rolling them up. And I think that the value prop in the mind of the consumer is like there's a lot of them on every corner. When I try to book service with a dealership and it's like, oh, it's 3 weeks out, I'm taking it to my Jiffy Lube and I'm getting it done today, right? For
$20.
Jiffy Lube. Well, that's the other thing. It's like it's cheaper as well, right? So I think that dealers need to struggle with both of those things, right? How do I drive loyalty when I don't have capacity in my base, and also when the perception or reality is it might be cheaper? So a lot of dealers are focused on fast lube services, exactly, sort of to compete directly with these guys. But I think it's an ongoing battle.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I think to tack on to that, it's perception, right? I mean, is Jiffy Lube really cheaper than what we would offer a client that we perceived as lost or potentially being lost? I don't think so. It is convenience. It's their perception thinking that it is cheaper when it really isn't. And at the end of the day, I mean, we probably do a very poor job getting that message out there that we're going to do it for cheaper, if not better. We have certified technicians that we send to school and cost us a fortune to keep on payroll to get it done for you. We use OEM parts. And these are some of the things that are not spoken about all the time because dealerships feel they take advantage that there's a client base. These guys or these independents got really good because they don't have a client base. They needed to create a client base. So all the things that they focused on that made them relevant in the market are the things that we overlook as dealers. You know, we believe because we sold you a car, you're going to service back with us. And we do a poor job getting that customer back or staying in constant communication to let them know when the right time is to get that servicing done. We leave it up to them to have to do it. And when it's up to them and customers have a choice, they're going to take the path of least resistance, what they think is least expensive and what they think is more convenient. But if we constantly stayed with, let's say, attached to them like a tether, and we remind them now's the time, we'll pick it up, we'll come to you. These are all ways that we could eliminate from the termites eating away at our database and our client base for that matter.
Now, if I can add to that, because it's moving away from a transactional operation that some people perceive, or the poor dealerships that are not capitalizing on this are doing it all transaction. The deal is sell the car, move them on, next person. Now it's all about the owner experience. You really are working on that experience of that. I mean, you sell a car one day, you own the car for a long time. So that whole experience of holding on to that process becomes important. And then how do you actually keep them coming to you through the products that you actually support them with to create that connection that you're talking about? So those are really important aspects.
I think there's a blind spot in knowing the customer's true value to the dealership. You know, the dealership would value them based on the gross generated on the sale, but they don't realize they're only going to sell them one car.
Right.
But you can service them every 6 months. And probably within a short period of time, you exceed that $4,600 or $4,000 in gross by constantly servicing them. And especially us, we focus on that perfect mousetrap. You come into our service drive, we're going to go ahead and offer you something to upgrade to, or we're going to offer you some other items that we're actually transacting with at that moment. So the service department is key, and we need to look at that more as a membership process and rather than as a one and done type of process. You know, and that's why selling aftermarket products such as maintenance plans or tire and wheel products, bringing these customers back in because it's easy for them to overlook what we do because they'll consider their purchase experience and expect their service experience to be the same, and it shouldn't. It should be extremely painless, and it shouldn't be inconvenience to them whatsoever.
Incredible. Yeah. And I think that kind of leads into my next question, starting with you, Matt. What do you think the biggest thing is that separates dealerships that are successfully retaining long-term customer satisfaction from those that are constantly losing them to the aftermarket, or as like Paragon Honda likes to say, the termites?
Yeah. So I'll start with just a very simplified statement that I've always held with me, which is if you don't win on convenience, you compete on price, right?
Yeah.
And pricing in aftermarket can be perception or it can be reality. But what is reality in the franchise system in aggregate competing with the aftermarket independent repair shops is that there is on average year to year somewhere around 18,000 franchise rooftops in the US. There are over 200,000 independent repair shops under some map, which means your average customer, again to oversimplify, is driving past 10 different alternatives before they reach the next closest franchise dealership. So cue some of the initiatives that are becoming more common that Paragon, Honda, and Acura as examples are in front of. So expanding your radius to deliver convenience through mobile service, through pickup and delivery, through alternative transportation services, that gives the customer a reason not to just think about what is the closest location to service the car at the transaction level, but what is the most convenient long-term relationship to build.
And Steve is such a long-term thinker. What are your thoughts on what separates those dealerships that can really compete well and provide more value to the consumer when it comes to competing with the independent shops?
Well, I like this idea. I mean, you are competing in a world now where, these independent repair shops are also focused on convenience. They outnumber you. They're going to be closer to the consumer. So what's going to make a consumer drive that much further to get the work done? I think a lot of it, as Murat said, is helping them understand that we've got qualified technicians. That you bring your car into an independent repair shop and you have no idea who's turning the wrenches.
Yeah.
OEM parts are important. If it's synthetic oil or whatever it is, it's proven and approved for this particular vehicle. You need points of differentiators. But I think it comes really back to what Matt says. Despite all that, you still need to beat them on convenience as well. And that's, I think, a hurdle, a burden that a lot of dealers aren't prepared to do.
Well, I mean, just take it. You want to deal with a specialist, right? You don't want to go ahead and get some dentistry work done with a physician, right?
Yeah.
So you go into a Jiffy Lube or one of these repair shops, you don't know if he's well versed with that particular manufacturer. So you roll the dice every time you go and do, but the experience or the lack of communication has to be so poorly that will allow customers to go down that road. And that's just a precursor to them deflecting in the future and going with a different brand. Because what normally keeps a customer buying their second and third car from the dealership, it's the service experience. And if that service experience doesn't exist, or you're not actively getting that customer in there, you might as well say goodbye to them forever. Because if you're not servicing them, chances are you're not going to have another crack at selling them another car. So it's just a slippery slope that a lot of dealerships overlook. And one of our biggest constraints is that we can't, there's constraints from a location standpoint. I mean, literally, about 2.5 blocks down to the left, there's a Jiffy Lube. To the right, I mean, you go up the block going towards our service department. There's tire repair shops. There's mechanic. I mean, you guys ever drive in like a new town and there's gas station, there's McDonald's, then there's Burger King, and it's like, okay, I mean, where do I go from here? Yeah. It's kind of the same concept and it's kind of the same feeling. And we have to do a better job making sure our customers have blinders on that when they're going to service their car, there's no other alternatives except us. And rather than them driving here, we'll go to them.
Incredible.
Common-
Very interesting
yeah.
topic, Stephen.
Yeah, the common thread line that I'm gathering here is that you have to be very conscious about communicating that value to the customer as well. Help them understand why wouldn't you go to the independent shop and why you would continue to come back to the dealership for the best service that you could get.
I think it's a department that has to be the most nimble. It has to be able to adjust on the fly. And, again, and not every situation needs to be, oh my God, we have to go ahead and change the process up, but give the customer every chance and ability to service with us. And it should be as least as inconvenient to them as possible, and at the end of the day, people pay for convenience. We don't have to overcharge them. There doesn't have to be a fee associated. Just take care of them. Their second, third, fourth visit pays back all of that.
Yeah, make it easy to spend money with that.
All the time.
Well, thank you guys so much for spending the time and coming out and talking with us today. Again, that's Isabella Stevens and Stephen Hackbarth talking about the aftermarket with one of the most innovative people in the industry here at Paragon, Honda, and Acura. And we'll see you again soon.